Hey there, Cash Flow Crew. We are live. So today I wanted to jump on here, do something a little bit different. Figured I would just go ahead and put my story out there so that you guys understand a little bit more who I am over here on the channel, not just somebody preaching, but give you the whole explanation as to why I do everything that I do and why I help veterans as much as I do because, well, I love y'all. I love all 18 million of you guys out there. It's just a lot of us just don't know this knowledge because we're not taught this knowledge, and really society doesn't want us to know this knowledge. So my story started way back when I was a kid. I grew up in a little trailer park. We had a double wide, so it was a little bit bigger than the standard single wides, but trailer park nonetheless. Ended up going through all sorts of public schools, constantly bored out of my mind, and just had to work on things every single day because school was boring. School was a waste of time for me. That continued all the way through high school, where I was put in college basically in my sophomore year. So I literally had college education going into my pre-college time just because school bored me. It really did. I didn't have too much to do. I would just skip classes. I would do all sorts of crazy things. In fact, that's actually where I started my first business. I started my first business out of the Honor Society shop and had basically a black market candy and snack store that, well, Honor Society wouldn't provide the products that people wanted to buy. So I saw a hole in the market and was like, bam, easy solution. And that just led me to getting in trouble and getting in trouble and getting in trouble again and again and again. It was just pretty standard procedure. Then got the RTC scholarship because I had the super great GPA. Super great GPA led me to the ROTC program. Now, ROTC program is one of those programs that I have to recommend for any of the any other high schoolers out there who are trying to think about going to college but not having any debt, because you can get a college degree 4 years. Yes, you have to serve 4 years plus 4 years in the reserves and or IRR, depending on the contract that you sign. But it allows you to get your college education for free, as long as you don't get it in something dumb and actually get it in something that, might go somewhere. Technology, IT, accounting. Wish I would have listened to my mother on this one because, well, she was right. Should have gotten an accounting degree, should have gotten some sort of business degree. That's what I should have done. And Cappy out there, Cap and Capitalism, Aaron Clary, if you know him, he also always recommends accounting. So it's one of those things that he definitely recommends, and I definitely wish I would have done that. Could have gone all the way through my ROTC time, college, maybe gotten into finance, like the financial officer realm, and been able to do that whole part, even though it's super highly competitive. Granted, I don't think I would have traded my actual military time, the artillery and military intelligence time, because I was branch detailed artillery with an MI focus. So got to do artillery first, learned a ton of leadership lessons. Unfortunately, got hurt as a second lieutenant. Happens. It is what it is. Got my spine crushed. That's why I'm 100% permanently and total disabled. Ended up going 8 years in the active duty service. Got to Fort Riley. Found out that, oh, hey, yeah, you probably shouldn't be in the service anymore unless you want to end up in a wheelchair because your spine is literally a Jenga tower. So I was like, oh, yeah, well, that was great. And, well, that led me to go ahead and understand, well, time to get out of the Army. So I ended up trying to go through the medical board, didn't end up going anywhere, got like a 0%. So I ended up having the ETS. It just is what it is. Nothing to do about it. Then I had to go ahead and fight the VA for up to 3.5 years to actually get my disability based on everything that was in my medical record, which the VA had lost when it was transferred from the active duty service. So anyone who is going to get out of the military, make sure you get a disc copy of your records. Super, super important. Don't let them BS you and say, oh, it'll be transferred digitally. Get the disc version. It's super important. Then, well, ended up winning after 3.5 years. In that time frame, I ended up applying for at least 400 different jobs. It was literally 365 government jobs, so GS positions or GG positions. Those are basically like government officers that have the ability to work with the government. GS levels, like I was applying for 11s and 12s. Got a couple of responses. It was only like 5 responses. Ended up getting a couple for security officers out of Fort Huachuca as well as Fort Sill, Oklahoma, because I had been there before. So they were just like natural, easy hiring. Didn't end up taking it because I had gotten a call from somebody who was that I had applied for Boeing. Got a call from somebody over in Germany. At the time, my girlfriend, or still, she's still my girlfriend. She was living in Poland, and because she's a Polish citizen, figured Germany would be as close as I can get. Why not go ahead and give it a go? So Germany is where I ended up trying out as a intelligence analyst, basically writing operations orders for any of the NATO operations going on over here in Europe. It was kind of a jump. Ended up having to learn a ton of lessons. Like, one of the major lessons is how much we pay in taxes, because you don't know how much you pay in taxes until you don't have to pay them anymore. And wait, Cody, you don't have to pay taxes? Yeah, I don't have to pay taxes because I have foreign earned income exclusion as well as a couple other tax benefits that keep my taxes extremely low or non-existent. So that's one of the major things that I learned is, well, that ended up saving me roughly about $45,000 a year, not going to the federal government and their silly freaking things that they're doing out there right now. Because, well, we got a whole lot of corrupt politicians. And I truly believe that had I not learned that lesson, I wouldn't be here on YouTube talking to you today, because quite literally, that tax lesson was one of the hardest hits. I ended up getting my full 100% disability, permanent and total, so the VA can't take it away from me. That's not necessarily true, though, because permanent and total can be taken away if the VA finds an actual case to file against you. Then it can be adjudicated or such. So if anyone tells you 100% permanent and total is completely immune, they're lying. But I'm 100% permanent and total, so I should be fine overall. That adds another $44,000 into my income. That's why I called this Cody's Cash Flow. Plus my government contracting job, where I make I make 6 figures. And then on top of that, I don't pay taxes, which is basically like receiving another $44,000, all the way up to $45,000. I do crypto investing and stock investing, which originally I started with a $60,000 loss. Had to learn some hard lessons that way. My $60,000 loss account actually is green for the first time in a couple of years, whereas my other accounts that I started, so I didn't have to stare at that big, nasty red loss, ended up going very, very green over the last 3 years. I would invest quite a lot of money, ended up living off of 40% of my income or less, and then reinvesting all the 60% of my other income, which led me to what my original goal for starting the channel was 7-figure net worth. Got it a couple of months ago. Now the next goal is to get to an 8-figure net worth. Very, very tricky to do. Definitely have to put in a ton more work, because I want to break the Huffman curse. I want to show my entire family that it's possible to go from trailer park trash to quite literally being multimillionaire. It's one of those things. That's why I started the channel. That's why it's out there, to help veterans learn the lessons they didn't learn in SFL-TAP or in the active duty service faster, easier, and with way less problems and spending that you're going to have to do to pay somebody to be mentored, to learn the lessons, to have to figure everything out yourself, or the multiple years that it's going to take. Now, there are some organizations out there that do help veterans as well. little questionable organizations. Maybe one of them is in the news right now. Hint, hint, VA Insider. Um, although they do put very, very good information out on their YouTube channel, there might be some fees on the back end that probably hurt veterans a little bit. It is what it is. They had a business, and they had a business model in a niche that definitely did help veterans, because a lot of veterans don't know this stuff. So we have to go out, we have to search for it. A lot of veteran service officers, VSOs, if you ever hear them, are not very helpful. They really don't know how to do anything but hit the file button, look at your basic medical records, and insert what you tell them to insert anyway. So you might as well just file a fully developed claim on your own. They don't teach you any of the 8 steps to figure out exactly what you have to do in order to file a VA loan or a VA claim. They don't teach you any of those other processes, and to include the difficulties of a VA home loan or any of that other situation, which is, again, another reason why Cody's Cash Flow exists, because I want to go ahead, I want to make this easier for all the veterans out there. So what ended up leading to my 7-figure net worth is the actual real estate acquisition that I recently had using the VA home loan, and ended up having to work through that with an intent to move in the next year. It's a property that's down in Texas. So I have that property now, no payments on it whatsoever because it's all covered. Don't even need to worry about it. It is literally a free house. That's why there's so many lessons that you can learn if you just put in the time and the effort to actually learn the information that's out there. Hopefully a mentor can go ahead and shorten your time frame so that you don't have to go through all the pain and hassle that I had to go through, because, well, the world is changing, and it's going to happen all in 2024, especially with this ridiculous political environment we have, this ridiculous culture war that we have. I'm very anti-culture war. I'm very anti-wokeness. I love my other veterans, but I don't like the way that the United States is going right now. And I think that veterans are the ones who can truly change it, because we have already had to serve. We can serve again. It's just a matter of changing out the old guard and the corruption inside of the political system so that people who are actually have a stake in the country can go ahead and take over. Let the adults back into the room. And that's what I truly think about all that situation. However, with 2024 coming up and there being an election season, I truly think that they're going to turn on these money printers again, and they're just going to blow inflation out the roof. So anybody that's invested in stocks, anybody who's invested in crypto, especially with the halvening in crypto happening on April 15th, huge thing. Half the Bitcoins will be available, half the Ethereum will be available. You will literally see a halvening of the overall cryptocurrencies in the market. Massive opportunity to make a ton of profit. Again, not a financial advisor, just a veteran who does these things. So don't take this as advice. This is just what I do. Talk to you about all the things that I had to learn and coach you through those situations. Investing wise, like I said, started off with a $60,000 loss, kind of buried that account for a little while, and then started like 4 or 5 other accounts. All those accounts started massively increasing after I learned my process. My process, which I call Six Sigma, which you'll see me on my Monday stock talks. I'll end up throwing a couple of stocks that I'm talking about that I like on Mondays, so that we can go ahead and discover how Six Sigma works and where the potential profit levels lie. Now, I really like Six Sigma, super easy. I only have to check it once a week, because guess what? Most of the action isn't going to happen every single day. You don't have to look at stocks all the time. Don't be a trader. Being a trader is stupid. Now, you might wonder, what happened to that negative $60,000 account that you had? Well, that negative $60,000 account is actually positive now, because I've put a little more work back into it, ended up having to add $10,000 into it, and end up knocking that whole loss out just using Six Sigma. So I know my process works. It's a beautiful process. No, I won't sell you my program, but I'll show you how to use it. and we can go ahead and do any coaching through that whole process, because ultimately it has to make sense to you. All I have to say is, yeah, that was amazing. That's what led to the other half of my net worth. So quite literally learning stocks, crypto, all that goodness led to the other half of the net worth. Plus I have this job, plus I don't pay taxes. It's literally a beautiful combination of all the things that they don't teach us in SFL-TAP or in the active duty service as we're going through, because mission first in the Army. They don't actually teach you how to create more financial wealth, because they kind of want you to stay in the Army, because then it helps their force ratios and they don't have to worry about manning problems and recruitment issues. But for those of you getting out, this is all a process that definitely will help. And really, that's why, again, I started Cody Cash Flow. So I wanted to go ahead and jump on here. This is my veteran niche of one. Literally, no one else is doing it like I do. There's other people doing things similar, but they all focus on very, very specific, narrow niches. They don't focus on the whole package. The whole package is everything you have to do in order to break through those certain income levels. I'm working on my next step, which is getting to that 8-figure net worth. Plus, the tricky thing is, once you reach a certain level of net worth, you have to be able to protect it all. So it all has to go into businesses. It all has to be protected by multiple layers of protective assets, trusts and such, C Corps, all that goodness. Way smarter people than me are coaching me on that right now. So I am still figuring that piece out. Can't coach on that. But eventually, I will own nothing and be truly happy, not caused by the World Economic Forum. Caused by me, so I know where all that money is. That is quite literally one of the things that I'm still learning that will come up in the updates of my book, From Service to CEO. By the way, I wrote a book this year because, well, why not? Have to be industrious. From Service to CEO had a best new release launch, bestseller new release launch, hit the list on Amazon. Have to do a little more work to make it a true bestseller overall, but it did reach a bestseller tag, so that is pretty good. And that includes all the TTPs that I've learned up to now that I'll talk about here on the channel in onesies and twosies. But if you want to get the real information, like the real juicy details, I would recommend the book. The book is available on Amazon. You definitely can get it. I will be having a paperback as well as a hard copy pretty soon, because I still need to work with my publisher to get that solved. If not, I'm going to work through Amazon and pay their absorbent, ridiculous fees. Yes, absorbent, ridiculous fees. On top of that, I'll talk on the channel here about starting an online business, starting a YouTube channel, starting your own service-disabled veteran-owned small business, and government contracting. So government contracting is what ended up making me quite a bit of money to get started with. Investment is what's going to take me to the next level. Government contracting, you can start your own business as a veteran. You can have either a veteran-owned small business, and the only requirement there is a DD-214, proof that you served in the military, or a service-disabled veteran-owned small business, which obviously you have to have a 10% disability or more to be able to qualify for that. And then you have to do a whole rigmarole of filing with the SBA and making sure that you have a business a business entity that actually is 51% owned by you or more. Now that's super important, because otherwise you won't qualify for the certification. So you need to make sure that you have that. I do have a service disabled veteran-owned small business that operates in the NAICS code 53. That's your national identification code. It's literally a code that says, hey, we operate in this market. And 53 is commercial real estate as well as residential real estate. It's a pretty interesting little gig that we're starting to get off the ground. We've already gotten some hits from a lot of the contracting officers and contracting officer representatives out there, COCORs, things that we'll talk about on the channel as well, and will eventually lead to multi-million-dollar projects as well as long lease terms. So it's super important, because then eventually we can build our own properties and be able to lease those out to the government. That's how you get to beyond the 8-figure levels and get to the 9-figure and the 10-figure levels. At least so I'm told. Haven't done it yet, so have to go ahead and work through it so I can share the process here on the channel, quite literally leading the way so that everyone can go ahead and follow the steps. It's definitely a thing that anyone can do, especially any of us veterans, any of the families out there or friends that know veterans. You guys can even participate in these benefits too. It's just a matter of learning about the situation and all the systems. Government contracting, like Neil says, if you guys know his channel over there, it's not very hard. It's just a process. So it's just a matter of knowing the process and learning the process. Right now, we're going through the initial source of sought processes so that we can go ahead and bid on contracts, so that we can go ahead and fulfill one. We already have one that is a very hot one that we're waiting for that request for at least proposal. Once we have that, we're going to be filling that out. We're going to be filling that good old Las Vegas. Definitely going to be looking forward to that one. That potentially has enormous upside, as well as multiple contracts all across the country. Have a couple of really good business partners that are helping me out with that portion. I provide the government contracting side of the house. They provide the real estate knowledge. Super, super smart people. Definitely think that we're going to go huge places with that. And I definitely see 9 figures easily if we just put in the work and dedication. As you can see here in Germany at a super late hour, 7 p.m. my time. So I can go ahead and work after work to build my own businesses on my own. It's quite literally something that I had to get through as well, because no one's going to do the work for you. You have to do it yourself. So we're going to talk about all that on this channel, as well as talking about travel. Like, I do a lot of traveling all over the globe. We went to 17 different countries this last year, so we'll be able to give pretty deep dives onto those interesting locations. A lot of places that people want to see, the importance of getting your passport and exploring, as well as the beauty of nature and hiking outside, seeing amazing sights like the top of a semi-active volcano. I've been to a couple now. Seeing beautiful old cities and palaces, as well as all sorts of different ranges of beaches, plant life. I love hiking. Hiking is one of my favorite things to do, especially until I'm on a a timeline until I'm stuck in a damn wheelchair. So it's one of those things that I like to do in the meantime. But that's pretty much everything that is Cody's Cash Flow channel. It's why it's a niche of one, because I'm the only one doing it this way. Quite literally, I'm the only one doing it this way. I really hope that you guys get some value out of the channel. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share with a veteran who needs it, because there's so many things that I'm going to talk that are super useful on this channel, especially the veterans, that they never taught us because they just didn't want us to know. All right, guys, that's it for this one. I was kind of low on ideas today for actual videos, so figured I would just go ahead and jump on, do a quick story about me and everything that this channel stands for. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.